Hi guys. All right, today we're here to review the measures of central tendency. Let's start off with what is a measure of central tendency? They are statistics that represent the center point or typical value of a data set. These measures indicate where most values in a distribution fall and represent the middle or center of its distribution, hence the name. Okay, so the measures of tendency tell you where the center, where most of the data is. All right, that's what that is. Now let's get a little more specific. The first one we want to talk about is the mean. Another word for the mean is the average. Okay, so the mean is the average, and the way you find the mean is you add up all the data and then divide by the number of pieces of data. So in other words, if you want to know your mean or your average test grade, you'd add up all your test grades and divide by how many tests you took. Okay, that's what that is. Now the next one, the next measure of central tendency is the median. And the median is the number in the middle. But be careful. It's only the number in the middle when the data is put in order first. So you have to have the data in order, either from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. Then the piece that's in the middle is what we call the median. Then we have something called the mode. Now the mode is the number that appears most often or most frequently. It's going to have the highest frequency. Okay, so it's the most. MO is the mode MO. Now the neat thing about the mode, now the mean and the median, there's only one answer. With the mode, you can have one mode. You can have no mode, or you can have more than one mode. So if you have 100 pieces of data and 2 of those numbers happen 5 times, both of those numbers would be considered your mode. But if you have a set of data and all the pieces of data occur the same number of times, then you have no mode whatsoever, okay? Now, there is some notation that we want you to recognize and be familiar with. Now, the first one, it looks a little weird. It's a Greek letter for sigma, okay? And it means sum. Sigma is the sum. You sum up all the data. It's the sum of the data values. So whenever you see that symbol, it means add everything up. Now, if you ever see that little X there, that's just a single data value. That's just one piece of data. Maybe it's the one test grades. The N is how many pieces of data you have. It's the number of pieces of data. So if you had 10 tests, n is 10. Then you have this x with the bar on top. That's the symbol for the mean, okay? So when we look at the formula for the mean, it's x bar, which is the mean, okay? That's the mean, equals, now remember that sigma notation, that was the sum, it means, and the x were your data points, so it's this, the sum of the data over, which means divided by, so I'm going to put parentheses there, divided by n, and n is the number of pieces of data. So it's exactly what we said before, but now you can see it in notation form as well. Okay, so let's try one. Let's look at an example. So here we have the scores on a test. 87, 45, 98, 87, 76, 65, 100, 72, 98, and 65. And we need to find the mean, the median, and the mode. Now the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is put the data in order. And it doesn't matter if you go from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. I tend to always start with my smallest. So I'm going to look, and it looks like 45 is my smallest. I also tend to cross them out, so I keep track of how many I have. And another thing I do is I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 test grades here. That way I know when I make my list, I need to have 10 numbers in my list. So my smallest was 45. What's the next? I have nothing in the 50s, and the only 60s I have 2 65. So I'm going to write 65, 65. Cross them out. Now let's look at the 70s. I've got a 76 and a 72. So we're going to do 72, then 76. I'm going to cross them out. All right, now the 80s, I've got an 87, an 87, so we're going to put in 2 87s, cross them out. Now 90s, it looks like I've got 2 98s and then 100. And now I'm going to check and make sure that I have 10 tests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I've got them all, yay! So now let's work on finding our mean. So for the mean, we need to add up all those numbers and divide by 10. It's crazy to write this all out. 45 plus 65 plus 65 plus 72 plus 76 plus 87 plus 87 plus 98 plus 98 plus 100. And then we're going to divide by, there are 10 tests. Now, if you guys are smart, all right, work smarter, not harder. Pull out your handy dandy calculator, please. Pull out a handy dandy calculator. I'm going to go to my TI calculator over here, and I'm going to do 45 plus 65 plus 65 plus 72 plus 76 plus 87 plus 87 plus 98 plus 98 plus 100. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I've got them all in there. They add up to 793. So I'm going to write that down. 793 divided by 10. And if you want to use your calculator again for that, that's absolutely okay. I'm going to divide by 10. And I get my answer. Oh, it gives me a fraction. Don't we love that? So remember, we go back here, arrow up, hit enter. Now you can either control enter. If I put a decimal, if you hit enter and hit, there you go, and it'll give you the decimal. So if you're doing division, 793 divided by 10, and you put the decimal, the period, it's going to give you the answer as a decimal. So 79.3. That is our mean. So I'm going to write that 79.3. Awesome. All right. Now let's find the median. The median, remember, that's the middle. So we know we have 10 numbers. So the middle of 10, I would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And notice on the other side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 tests on the left, 5 tests on the right, but there's nothing right smack in the middle. So if there was 11 tests, that 6th test would be the one in the middle. Since I don't have one in the middle because I have an even number, what I have to do is I have to average the 2 in the middle. So I'm going to take this 76 plus 87, add them up, and divide by 2. So let's see, 76 plus 87, that's 163, and divide by 2. And yes, of course, you can use a calculator. And 163 divided by 2, that's 81 with 1 left over, so 0.5. So our median is 81.5. Okay, now we need the mode. And remember, the mode is the one that occurs most often. Okay, so if I look, I've got 145, I've got 65 happens twice, 72, 76, 87 happens twice, 98 happens twice, and then 100. So I have 3 numbers that are happening twice. I have 3 modes, 65, 87, and 98. I have 3 modes this time, okay? Because everything else only happens once. Okay, one more problem. This one's going to be a little bit different, but something you might actually want to do one day. So here we have Annabelle received the following quiz scores for the 3rd quarter, 95, 96, 87, and 77. And she wants to know what she needs on the last quiz to have a quiz average of 90. Now remember, the average is just another word for the mean. So how do we find a mean? Well, the first thing we do is we add up what we know. 95 plus 96 plus 87 plus 77. And you know what? Let's go get our handy dandy calculator over here. And we're going to do 95 plus 96 plus 87 plus 77. And that's a total of 355. Okay, that total to 355. Now, thing is, she hasn't taken all her quizzes yet. She's already had 355, but she has one more last quiz to take. Now, when we do this, when we find an average, we add them all up, so the 355 plus the tests we don't know about. Then we divide by how many tests she took. Now over here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 tests or quizzes plus one more new one to go. So that's going to give her a total of 5 quizzes. So we're going to divide this by 5, and she wants her average or her mean to be 90. So now we have a little equation that we can solve. We have 355 plus x divided by 5 equals 90. Now I'll be honest, some people automatically jump and say, oh, it's 5 times 90 because I know the 5 scores have to add up to 90 times 5. And where did they get that from? It's solving the equation. They're multiplying both sides by 5. Do I care which way you do it? No, I do not. So if you start here, that's okay with me. That's the same as starting at that blue equation there. So we have 355 plus x equals 5 times 9 is 45, and we need that 0. Now we subtract 355 from both sides, and 450 minus 355 is 95. So that means she needs a quiz grade of 95 so that when she takes all her quizzes together, she'll have an overall average of 90. All right, guys, so that's our review of our measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode. See you soon. Bye.